I love the building, and when I come here, I find it very uplifting. It's a very beautiful retreat.
And it is a wonderful viewing museum, lovely spaces to walk through, and there's a great relationship between the outside landscape and the internal construction. This is a really unique collection because it was developed by two individuals, Eva and Mark Beeson, who since 1950 had dedicated themselves to collecting Australian art.
Neither of them came from backgrounds where there was a deep appreciation of visual arts, and they went to Europe for their honeymoon. And while they were there, they started visiting museums, and they found that that was a passion which they could share. And during the 50s, you had the rise of the commercial gallery network. And that was, of course, incredibly important because artists had the support of the commercial galleries, the dealers. And that was the time when the Beesons began collecting.
The works that we have in the collection, they reflect the wonderful relationships that the Beesons had with the very early commercial galleries in Australia, and also all the wonderful artists that started to spring up in Australia from the 1950s on. The Beesons, when they started acquiring work, were so excited about what they had seen overseas, and I think they recognised that there was a very new beginning here in Australia, which was also a new beginning for them, being newlyweds.
They became known for actually going to exhibitions and being the first person to identify work and to buy it, and that helped a lot of young artists. I was originally at the University of Melbourne, and I had always worked as a contemporary curator. Normally I always tried to show something from the collection. It's just that this...
She's been absolutely fundamental and critical to the development of TarraWarra Museum of Art.
The Beesons had a great love of the Yarra Valley. And then when they thought of doing something like this particular development of this amazing museum, they asked me if I'd go in and see them. So we wrote a brief and we invited 5 architects. From those 5, Alan Powell was chosen. We worked really quickly. We didn't have to raise money because Mr. and Mrs. Beeson were giving the money. We knew what we were doing. It only really took a year to build. And it's built out of beautiful materials, the stone and the concrete and glass and steel, that actually have a palette of colours which harmonise with the landscape. The shape of it is like a large earth sculpture. It looks as if it belongs, and that's what the Beesons wanted. We wanted to have a public museum, but we didn't want for it to be a huge monolithic building. We wanted it to be something that was beautiful. There are areas that I have a fondness for where I was sort of personally involved in trying to get them just perfect, like the reception desk, for instance. I personally had to scrub that down.
I feel like it's a little slice of heaven, I guess, up here in the valley. It's a joy to be working in a purpose-built building that has been so thoroughly thought through. And it works so well. We might be smaller than some of the other big museums, but we are perfectly formed. The museum's collection is one of the most significant collections of Australian art. Through the amazing generosity and vision of the Beesons, the collection continues to grow with further donations and acquisitions all the time. This is a must-see museum for anybody visiting Australia and also for our local community.